Nearly all of my sculptures are finished using Ilva acrylic urethane. Ilva is the manufacturer. They are an Italian company. Its distributor is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and that's their number. And there's dealers throughout. Now, almost all of my sculptures begin also with this vinyl sealer. And what that does is seals the wood grain, and then upon drying, I can give it a light sanding and then go ahead and finish it with my acrylic urethane. Now, both of these products are sprayed on. I use a HVLP gun, high volume, low pressure. These urethanes are activated using this hardener, very much like an automotive clear coat, except that we have a thinner that we can add with it. Now, I use the thinner with both of them, and there is a designated formula which is given in this book. Every single product has its own page with all the details. Now, this isn't an inexpensive product, and I pay several $100 just to get the starting kit for this. So these numbers are important, and they have a lot of options. For instance, this 65 sheen. That is what I use most often. But like with my wall hanging sculptures, I like to use a 35 sheen. With my laminated pieces, I'll use this same thing, but it's a 100 sheen, so that means it's a wet look. Now, I will measure them based on their weight, and so 100 parts sealer, 20 parts for the hardener, and then 20 parts for the thinner. And the thinner, again, is a starting point. I rarely go under that. I almost always go a little bit more than that, especially in the cold winter months. I might add that number would be a 30. So I use a cheap little gram scale. I zero it out, use a little cup, scoop out what I need, pour it in there, and then when I get my number, I zero it, and then begin with the hardener. Mix those two together, then go ahead and add the thinner, mix it again, and then I always pour it through one of these little paper strainers. And the gun I use is this guy. All of my sculptures have been sprayed using this gun. This is a Blue Point manufactured by Snap-on, and it always gets cleaned immediately after every use. I use this little guy here to remove moisture. Those are silica gel beads, and of course and then the pressure you shoot at is going to be relative. I think I'm usually set at about 16 psi. Of course, you set it with the trigger being pulled. Now that gun is like $500. Did I pay that? No, I wouldn't. That thing's made in China, so when you give Snap-on $500 for that thing, you're getting ripped off. You can go to the big box stores or hardware store, or whatever, and you can get just a cheap tool shop quality brand for 50 or $60, and it's going to do the same thing. It just doesn't last as long. The gun will not last as long. I don't have a fancy spray booth. I just push the car out of the garage and try not to stir up too much air. The HVLP guns, they run pretty low PSI, so they don't stir up a huge cloud and settles on everything. Always clean the gun after use. This is what I use. You can use lacquer thinner. There's lots of different products for that. Another thing I like about the Ilva urethane system here is the pot life. I can literally spray the sculpture, it's dry to the touch, realize, oops, I've got to run, a drip, wait for it to dry, and then actually sand it off, and then respray it with what's still in the gun. This is an old pickle jar. And once the stuff gets kind of dirty, I pour it out. Actually, I use it on the driveway in areas where there's weeds, kill the weeds. Okay, this is a tack cloth. I get these at the auto parts stores or auto finishing stores. It's good to just wipe it off in between coats, or like here, this is bare wood. Now, the other sculpture I showed you, the Australian red gum, that's just bare wood. This is birch wood laminated, and it sometimes gets really porous on the end grain and really sucks up the urethane. So what I'm going to do is put Ilva's vinyl sealer on this, and it activates and thins just the same as their acrylic urethane, but it's useful because it just does a really good job of standing on the surface, and it sands really well, so you can just get a glass-like finish, and you'll see no porosity, no end grain. It seals the pores really well, so that's what's going to happen here. All right, this has the fan function here, where you open that up, and then you can get a spray fan either like this or like this. I pretty much almost always shoot with just a center dot. And I go over the whole thing at half trigger, just move all the potential dust. I like having it on a turntable, that way I can move it, not for spraying, but really for the light. So there is 2 coats of the vinyl sealer. I'll be putting a 65 sheen on this one as well. So 8 hours has to pass of this thing curing before putting on the final acrylic urethane. However, it's dry to the touch in mere minutes and can be sanded. Well, just try it. I mean, I've started sanding on this within a half an hour. But I've got plenty of time, so I'll just probably do it later tonight. Sand it with 400 grit, maybe 600, and then do the acrylic urethane.